Welcome once again to Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel, joined by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you today?
There's no possible news dropping tomorrow, which is very exciting after the week we have both had with the CSR news.
How could you say there's no possible news dropping tomorrow? Who knows? Maybe Wells Fargo will finally find like some transfer partners under a couch cushion.
If Wells Fargo came out tomorrow and his guys, we landed American Airlines, how
I'm
fast would you have to call off of work to make videos?
not going to answer that question because it may get me in trouble.
I would absolutely not call off of work. How dare you imply such a thing, which I think is telling.
Yeah, if Wells Fargo landed American Airlines, like if Wells Fargo landed the plane before like the nuclear plane comes down with Citi, I'm going to laugh. It would just be a 45-minute just me laughing hysterically.
What do you think is a fair Wells Fargo point to American Airlines transfer ratio?
No,
37 to 1.
37 to 1 would hurt like hell. No, it can't be as outrageous as that. I think if you wanted to keep Americans points established, which Americans seems to want to do from how they operate, because that is all they're running on is just the value of their points. It's not we have an amazing soft product, we have an amazing hard product, we have the world's best planes. No, it is our points are
Valuable.
that we will not do anything to them. I think a reasonable transfer with Wells Fargo, if Wells Fargo landed the plane, I think it would be 5-3. It's a crappy exchange rate, but Wells gets to say they have a domestic partner. Wells gets to have a somewhat sustainable transfer part ratio where American Airlines doesn't have to immediately devalue and just pull the rug out from everyone. That's got to be one of the biggest sticking points with negotiations with Citi and American Airlines because if the plane was going to land, it would have landed already, and it's clearly not going to be 1-to-1.
No. I think we can
Um,
all kiss that goodbye.
Yeah. Now, I think American is pushing City for 3-to-1. I think American could try to push City even further, and City is trying to get 3-2, 5-2, something a little bit better. The next thing they'll have to do is reorganize the credit card lineup anyway.
Yeah.
So, do you sour changing up the credit card lineup to get the point transfer done? Because the point transfer now has to be on the back burner until at least 2027.
Yeah.
In which case, like Wells Fargo could just step up and be like, "How about 5 Wells Fargo points to 3 American Airlines points? Just don't devalue on us immediately. You can devalue whenever you want, and we can just ask you for a better rate then. But for now, 5-3, please. We'll throw in Martin
Cell phone
Short
protection.
and cell phone protection. Wells Fargo landing the plane would be amazing. But like most things, I don't think that plane is landing anytime soon. Nuclear plane continues to be in a holding pattern
Yes. But I look forward to whenever Wells Fargo does the thing. I really do look forward to your reaction to whatever thing happens to thing.
because lately, like every credit card refresh and every credit card that's dropped in the last 18 months has been a disappointment. Virtually every single one.
I don't know if I would call the gold refresh a disappointment.
I was just about to say, maybe with the exception of the gold refresh.
I don't think it's a disappointment.
Yeah,
I don't think American Express ever hinted that very specific thing was going to happen for people to get upset about.
this is true. I just would have liked to have seen a couple more shekels thrown at the Resi credit because $100 felt, thinking about it now, $100 felt a little light.
I would like the Resi credits to go away because I don't use Resis.
No, that's fair. But we had the JetBlue Premier card. That was a dud. The Turkish Airways card. It's a very unique and very niche credit card. The new Virgin Airways card with Synchrony. That's a dud. The Qatar cards are interesting in the value proposition that they can give you if you are willing to fly Qatar, because Q Suites is like the bee's knees apparently. But if you are a one world person, if you fly one world a lot, like that card has a very unique use case to you, but beyond that card's a little rough. The other cardless cards, the Avianca card, the Tap Air Portugal card, they're not particularly compelling cards in terms of multipliers for the airlines. Like they do some interesting things here and there, but Cardless is having a hard time selling credit cards.
Yep.
The Altitude Reserve going away was a bit of a problem. The Smartly card offering the world and then immediately snapping it out of existence like Thanos was not a good idea.
Somehow we have turned the beginning of Stack Your Points into one of our lives, which is interesting.
It's what we do when it's just you and I. Speaking to that, Craig is on assignment this week and Tariq remains on deep assignment. So it's just RJ and I. You can enjoy our dulcet tones as we talk about the last 18 months and credit card launches and just how bad they've been. Because it's not been like, I feel like Autograph Journey is probably the best launch overall.
Yeah, I think Autograph Journey is probably the best. Though I will say, what, the Altitude came out in the last 18 months, right?
Tune, yes, it came out of nowhere. So yeah, my Tune card is less than a year old. So that is a really interesting niche card. And as long as you can make the 4% at Amazon work, it's a really strong card. If it comes to things like Ticketmaster and StubHub, I'd more likely go for my Attune because I can guarantee 4% there, as opposed to like getting $150 off with the new Sapphire Reserve refresh that I don't get until October. We did another live last week, kind of after letting some of the dust settle. My last Tuesday was a marathon. So yeah, we've got. I can't anticipate any more news this week that's going to outshine that, unless like tomorrow Chase is just, oh yeah, Sapphire preferred refresh. Here you go.
Those are going to have the Sapphire preferred, the Ink preferred, even if they do a Freedom refresh, like those kind of have to drop in the next like month or so to
We
really get it all done.
we have a very specific date where points stop being worth a certain amount. So if they wait until the 26th of October to drop the preferred refresh and the freedom refreshes to lock in the new, you don't get no bonus points.
Yeah, because didn't they just say you get one Sapphire bonus now in your lifetime?
Yeah, the new bonus language puts heavy emphasis on the word may.
I love the word may. The word may is always fun.
You may not be entitled to a bonus if you currently have the card. If you've gotten a Sapphire bonus previously, you may not be entitled to another one, but other factors will also go into things like how many cards you've opened and closed with us. It is a whole other black box.
I'm good. I am in dad mode at the moment, and I needed to take a quick break before I joined to make sure I had a small bowl of ice cream because Monday for us is Monday, and that's what I needed right now.
Flavor of ice cream that is bright blue.
So it's the Cookie Monster flavor. It's really just cookies and cream, but they make it like really bright blue for some reason. It doesn't do anything. It's just blue, but it's literally just cookies and cream. I absolutely love it.
They make it blue to sell it.
It works.
Yeah,
Look,
that's
look. It's a trifecta for me. I love cookies and cream ice cream. It's one of my go-tos. It's in my top three for sure. I've always been a fan of Cookie Monster. So if we were to literally go anything in from my childhood, Cookie Monster would probably be like my favorite Sesame Street slash Muppet. I know they're not the same, but I'm saying across all of them. And third, it's different, man. It's blue. And I don't normally like blue things because I'm allergic to blueberries and raspberries. So anything blue has always been like a turnoff for me. But this is just, I don't get it. Why? And it's blue and it's cookies and cream. And they call it Cookie Monster. I just had to do it. So
now more important question. Was this your
DoorDash
DoorDash?
credit.
Yes.
DoorDash credit.
Perfect.
Also,
Perfect.
Matt, you'll enjoy this.
Nice.
Official t-shirt.
That
Still waiting on my certificate though. That thing's taking forever to get here. I don't know why. It's
whatever.
only
You can
coming
just
from
wear the
Europe.
certificate now,
It's only coming from Europe. Whatever.
depending on where in Europe.
Yeah. No idea.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, anyway, we did a bit of a long intro, but we've jumped into our questions now. Our first
Let's
question
go.
comes from M2K, who asks, what are some tips to get out of pop-up jail?
Well,
Amex is a black box and Chase is a brand new box. So any tips on getting out of pop-up jail?
there aren't really any tips. There are speculations. Now, I'm going to avoid Chase because Chase doesn't really exist in the reality that we live in has not existed long enough, for a day. It literally launched today or something. So no one can actually give you any tips or tricks or anything like that. Amex, I'll say it like this. There's no real answer. I have been and currently am in pop-up jail with Amex. And people will say, use a referral link. That doesn't necessarily do it. Put spend on your cards. I went full like Amex for months. And I'm talking not a little bit. Like at the first half of this year, I think almost everything went through Amex. That didn't do it either. No lifetime language. Sometimes if you can find one of those links, that will work. That's not necessarily a way out of it. That's just a kind of a backdoor and get lucky. Now, I got out of pop-up jail or found a way around it once. It revolved around me lying to Amex, and I will not be sharing that publicly. But if you remember on my channel, I made a video about what I did. And I'm not trying to put it behind a paywall. It's just, it is not honest whatsoever. So I don't want to put it out there in the public that way. So I'm being responsible that way. I'm going to leave it right there. And I'm going to say it worked. It worked once, and I've never done it again because I don't want Amex to come at me. I don't want them to come after me, and I definitely don't want them to take all my points and stuff away from me because I knew what I did was wrong. It just happened to work. Like a hot streak in Vegas, I cashed my chips out and walked away. Got what I wanted, got out. That's it. We're not putting it back on the table. We're not letting it ride. But I'll say it like this. There's no real way unless you literally work for Amex approval department. I don't think there's any formal answer in which any of us will be able to provide you.
No, honesty is always key. Just to any product managers, any supervisors, any potential American Express executives, we don't know what Lonnie's talking about.
No idea. Never seen the video.
Can't corroborate any of this. Assess if the card is worth getting without the welcome offer. Give it a serious assessment. There are certain American Express cards that are worth going after and attaining without the welcome offer. But I certainly understand why you would prioritize a welcome offer. But there are cards that are worth it.
Yes. Actually, speaking specifically on that, so I am now a brand new owner of the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card, also through Amex, $650 annual fee. This is one of the things that Matt is talking about that I recently considered for myself. No matter what the welcome offer just so happens to decide to be, it's always at minimum $6,000. I think at this current moment is $8,000, is $6,000 for a first 100,000 Marriott points, and then you get extra 50 if you spend $2,000 more, so $8,000 to get 150 points. At this exact same time, you can get a 40% boost if you just straight up and buy Marriott points directly from Marriott. Now, if you were to go for the welcome bonus, you are committing to a minimum of $6,000 or $8,000 for 150,000 Marriott points. Or if you're in pop-up jail, just take the card and just go buy the points. If you're going to go for the welcome offer, you're committing to spend $8,000 in this case. For the low cost of like $18,000 round up, I'm going to say $1,900. You'll end up with 210,000 Marriott points instead. You just saved yourself a little bit over $6,000 and got the exact same goal. You got everything that you wanted. Now, of course, you can double this down. If you get the welcome offer, it's also a great time to also buy the points. But in this particular case, I didn't want to spend $8,000 for 150 Marriott points. So I was like, I'm going to take the pop-up jail, take the card. My 650 just hit. And yet, for less than $2,000, I got more than what I would have got for the welcome offer, and I still get everything else. I get literally every box checked. I get the 300 credit. And for me, the one reason why I did it is because when my year rolls over and I get that free night certificate worth 85K Marriott points, that starts now versus when I get out of pop-up jail and then hit the apply button. So I know next year I'll have it when I want it versus I got to get out of pop-up jail. I got to do this. I got to spend this money. I just saved money. I saved time and all that other stuff. So to Matt's point, this is a real life example. This works. The only other one that I would have that I could do that with was Hilton. But I would actually, as Matt said, I would do the math and see what the real benefit is. Because in this case, with the Marriott bonus, buy points bonus, it's actually a better deal not to take the welcome offer. Financially, in every sense, it's a better deal to not take that welcome offer if you just want the points. If all you're going for is the points, it's cheaper to just go buy it.
If you're working a second welcome offer, you can go buy points on that welcome offer and take 1,900 off of your welcome offer on that second card. So it might actually help you out in the long term.
Yep. Or if you're working a upgrade offer from American Express or anything like that, spend can also be used to multiply out your points. I would venture that there are 4 cards that from American Express that it's perfectly chill to skip the welcome offer on, and if you're in pop-up jail, and just get the card and you can get the points relatively easily from there. The 4 I would say would be the Bonvoy Brilliant, the Hilton Aspire, the Delta Reserves, both business and personal, so one or the other, and the Delta Platinums, because the companion passes on the Platinums and the companion passes on the Reserves far outvalue the annual fee on both of those cards, and the MQD boost on both of those. The MQD accelerator on both of those cards is huge.
I would say the Surpass, because if you don't have Hilton Gold, getting Hilton Gold is a major upgrade to what points you're getting back.
I'm
20% to 80%.
Yeah, I'm torn on the Surpass.
Credits every quarter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your annual fee.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to touch on that, and so for example, you could actually just go without buying the points and just take the card as a whole. And I think Marriott is a good card. The Brilliant is one because the $25 a month on food credit is ridiculously stupid easy to hit. And then as long as you stay in a Marriott within the first 12 months, if you really want to say, I spent $650, you're going to get your $650. You're getting your $650 between that 300 and whatever platinum status and staying at it, whatever. But then I would also say the same thing for Hilton Aspire, to just get it without the welcome bonus. If it's a card that makes sense to you and it's a card that you want, legit want, and it's going to make sense for you in your wallet, then if you're in pop-up jail, still get it. You're still getting the $400 in Hilton twice a year. You're still getting the airline travel credit. You still get the free night certificate right out of the gate. That's already worth over $550 as well. So you don't even need to buy the Hilton points. You're still making out like a bandit just by accepting the card. Those would be the only 2 that I would 100% say, screw it, just take the card. But if in the same regard, if Hilton's doing another 100% bonus and you're in pop-up jail, absolutely take the card. And once again, it's the same math. You're going to get way more points than you would by spending $5,000, $6,000 in spend requirement. You're going to get the more points. You're not in the same type of commitment. You don't have that anxiety, whatever you want to call it. And you still get that rush. You're getting the points and saving money. So even the Aspire is a better deal in that way.
Yep. I can see your point on the Surpass. I personally would just rather, like, I'd be willing to lose 1 welcome offer with Hilton. I don't know that I could do 2. If I'm in a situation where I've already missed one, I got to get another one. But if you haven't done a Surpass or an Aspire and you're in pop-up jail, you'd be okay getting either and buying the points. And
I think
but Surpass is doing annual free right now as a promo. So your first year is free. So if it's right now with that $0 for your first year, then I could recommend the Surpass for $0 for that first year.
I also
Yeah.
think the Surpass is just a better card for more people than the
Yes.
Yeah,
Aspire.
Yes.
So
it is.
more people. The Aspire is a great card if you're a Hilton loyalist and if you stay at the resorts. Having the resort credit on the Aspire, I think, takes it down for. I think the closest one to me is like the middle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go to the
Mhm.
middle of Pennsylvania to go to a Hilton resort. So that one is going to be harder for people, I think.
I say the Surpass is a better day everyday spin card. Like it's actually better for the normal everyday spin categories that versus the Aspire is more it's travel focused and travel only.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a dining multiplier, but everything has a dining multiplier.
Yeah.
But like the other big multiplier outside of Hilton is rental cars. And you don't really rent a car when you're at home. So you for the majority, you're going to be traveling to get that 7x multiplier there. But I can see it either way. And for me, the killer aspect for my Aspire was the diamond status because I had Hilton Gold 12 other different ways, like most of us do. And I was like, getting the Surpass ain't going to really do anything for me except for help me earn more points. And then when I actually can we talk about travel days again, RJ? Can we just have that moment where it's so sacred? And you need to differentiate yourself from the 9 out of 10 people that have Hilton Gold and that 1 out of 10 that has Diamond. So yes, I went with Aspire because I already had everything else and all those other bonus categories.
Yeah.
The
No,
pros and cons of having so many cards.
yeah, it's definitely a strong card. It's a card you can consider. I personally wouldn't want to, but you're both absolutely right that the Surpass is a card that you could forego a welcome offer on and still be quite okay. So yeah, no, I think that's fine. With regard to Chase and Pop-Up Jail, brand new. Who the heck knows what's going to happen there? The new eligibility language from Chase with regards to the Sapphire cards puts a lot of emphasis on the word may. You may be entitled to a new welcome offer if these other conditions aren't met. Put it best, one, May is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that in the new statement, in the new verbiage. Two, it sounds like your relationship with Chase may vary on your ability to get welcome offers on Sapphires. And three, we have no clue what it's going to look like. We're going to see data points pour in on Reddit, on both the Chase Sapphire Reddit, the Sapphire Reserve Reddit, the credit card Reddit, I'm sure the churning subreddit. All of those subreddits are going to have data points over the next couple of days with people who are like, oh, I'm 824 and got denied, or I'm 824 and they gave me the pop-up window. We'll get back that kind of in the news.
I'm LOL of 24 and I got we'll send you a letter in 7 to 10 days, but they didn't pull my credit and I wasn't logged in when I applied. I don't know if they realized, oh, you have an account because it's the same email. And they're like, we've seen your credit profile. We'll give you the IHG card, but we're not giving you the reserve.
Which card did you throw the application at?
The reserve.
Maybe because of your new annual fee Sapphire.
Maybe.
But you'll get a note in 7 to 10 business days.
7 to 10 business days.
Yeah. So tips to get out of Pop-Up Jail, Amex, and there are cards worth sidestepping. The biggest problem with Pop-Up Jail with Amex is the only cards that it really foundationally affects are the membership reward cards. If your relationship with Amex can allow you to sidestep membership rewards because you only want to establish a relationship with Marriott or Hilton or Delta, you don't have to worry about Pop-Up Jail. You can free yourself from the thought of Pop-Up Jail.
And if you really want the Blue Cash every day or the Blue Cash preferred, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So thank you, MTK. We'll move over to our next question from Double, who asks, do you care about lounge access? If so, why? If not, why not? And how much are you willing to pay or do for it? Now, let me just preface this by saying lounge access, if you book international business and international first class, you get lounge access as part of your ticket. You book United Polaris, you're going to get access to a Polaris lounge. And I've never set foot in a Polaris lounge, but I have to imagine that the salad is not sad and the cookie is a little bit softer.
They don't have cookies in the Polaris lounge and it drives me up a wall.
Even worse. It's a slightly better salad.
I don't know if I show up at the wrong time. If there's cookies, I'm just never at the right time and place, but there's usually never cookies. Or at least not the soft, fresh baked ones like you find at the United Clubs in the Polaris Lounge for some reason. Salad bar is actually larger. It's not as sad. I will attest to that. I'll give you 2 points for that. It is a better salad with more than just balsamic vinaigrette and ranch dressing and shredded carrots and maybe red radishes to put on a pile of dry lettuce. It's definitely better than that. But don't forget that the majority of Polaris lounges also have the sit down restaurant. Yes, you have to make a reservation. So hopefully you're not going when it's too busy. But then you can just order an actual not sad
meal
salad. Exactly. And it's all included. It's cruise ship rules. Like, I want 3 entrees and they don't care. Like, you paid your ticket. So tip your waiter.
Yeah. If lounge access is super important to you for an international flight, booking international business, international first class is always going to get you lounge access to the airline's lounge. That is going to be better than the priority pass lounge and probably better than most of the credit card lounges. But we've also stated multiple times, RJ, lounge access is very near and dear to you because of your flying situation. So obviously you care about it, but would you be willing to pay for it if it didn't come included on your cards?
Yes, absolutely. If it wasn't on the Platinum or the Delta Reserves, I would have a membership. Like, it's not even a you get the full question out and I say yes situation. It is a yes situation. So I cannot take a flight anywhere without a layover. Unless I am going to LaGuardia, Atlanta, or Detroit, I'm taking a layover. Fun fact, if I'm going to LaGuardia, I'm not flying. That would not be how I would get downstate. I would take Amtrak if I was going to the city. It's easier. So for me, lounge access is important. I rather have sad salad and potentially not soft cookie around a couple hundred people than several thousand people in the main terminal. That's a me thing. That is a me priority. I understand. Look, I don't really care about international travel. So if you care about that and want to go to those lounges, I hope you have the best time in the world. I probably will never go, so I don't care about it. Just as a personal thing, not as a give advice thing. But for me, they're not a factor. Lounge access is important just because of how I travel and the fact that there's always going to be a layover. I do not do short layovers. I will not do a layover under 90 minutes. So I want someplace to chill out. I tend to be pretty good at hitting LaGuardia when it's not super packed, and Atlanta, there's so many lounges that you can, as long as you're willing to go to a lounge that's not in the terminal you're flying out of, because they have the train so you can get pretty much anywhere fairly quickly, like you'll find a lounge that's not packed. So for me, I don't really ever have a problem getting into a lounge. I have lounge access in 4 different ways to Delta and the Centurion right now. It'll be 3 ways after August. But yeah, no, it's important to me. How much am I willing to pay? Well, I pay $695 on the Platinum times 2, and I pay $650 on the Reserve times 2. So probably that. Would I pay the 20 whatever hundred? No. As long as I don't have to think about it because my cards give me access, I am just going to pay for the cards. That's my answer. Because of how Delta does it and because of how the Centurion is part of it, like, I just don't have to necessarily do that math. But for me, it is important. Like, I'm pro lounge. I am notoriously pro lounge on this podcast for reasons like can't get direct flights, so gotta go somewhere. Rather go to a lounge than the terminal.
That's fair. Lonnie, you're a bit less pro lounge. How much do you care about lounge access? Do you care about it? And how much would you be willing to pay or do for it?
Good question. Very bad answer or bad answers in which I'm about to give you. Because me personally, if I'm traveling solo, I don't necessarily. I can say I care about lounges. So if I'm traveling solo, I'm the type of person, I don't arrive to the airport right away, like super duper early. I'm the type of guy that like shows up, drops my bag off if I need to. If I'm carrying on, I go straight through security. And then by the time I'm done through security, we are boarding. Like I go to whatever cafe, buy my bottle of water, line to pre-board or group one or whatever. So I just skip over the lounge. Not even this lounge, and I'll probably just skip the Polaris lounge because like I don't want to show up early for what? To go sit down? No. Just put me on. I'm going to sit on the plane for the next 10, 12 hours. I'll sit down over there. And they're going to feed you on the plane too. Now, the kind of part comes in when I'm with my family. And my wife loves lounges. And now we have the United Club card because that one card covers all three of us in our family, myself, my wife, and my son. We can all get in for free. And when we travel, that comes in as a super benefit because maybe we don't want to sit down. Maybe he doesn't want to run around the airport or something like that. Maybe he needs milk or he needs food or a bowl of cereal or a cookie. And instead of paying $6.95 for a black and white cookie from Starbucks or something, we already paid our
Lucky you
annual
find
fee.
that.
Right, we can get it from the lounge, right? Especially toddlers and kids, they need their milk. They want their milk. They want that type of stuff. They have that at the lounge. And at the same time, we can grab a quick drink or something like that, or juice. Free juice at the lounge for kids as well. So in that regard, yes. Now, I would still say that we don't like to arrive early. There's times where we'll still arrive at the airport and let's just go to lounge for 15 minutes because we already paid for it. And that's literally like the mindset. We already paid for it. We're walking by it. Let's just stop in there, grab something real quick. Even if it's roll it up in a napkin or put it in a sandwich bag so we can take it on the plane. We'll just run in because we already paid for it. Now, when I'm flying international, that's when it really makes a difference to me. And that's solo or with family. So just as you had said, even if it's like United and there's no United Polaris lounge internationally, they'll share a lounge with another Star Alliance member. There's times where they share it with a airline that's outside of Star Alliance. I've been in countries where I'm flying United and they put me in like British Airways lounge, those types of things. The other aspect is I try to avoid connections as possible. Domestically, I always try to get nonstop. And internationally, I always try to get nonstop. I always try to avoid connections. If I have a connection, that yes, lounge now becomes important because it gives me a place to sit. But if not, then no, I'm not going to the lounge after my flight lanes. I don't know why or how people do that. Get me out of this airport. The last thing that really makes lounges important to me is, once again, flying solo. So as I mentioned before, I fly for work. If I had a coworker with me and I could get them in the lounge with me, then that makes a difference as well. Before we got the United Club card and I still had my Explorer and my 2 free United Club passes, which actually roll over. So there's a point of the year where for about 45 days, actually, if you don't use any, you have 4. You got the 2 from last year and you just got your 2 new ones as well. It's about 30, 45 day overlap, but they expire. So I'm like, yeah, I got to burn these things anyway. I'm traveling with teammates or whatnot. Hey, y'all want to burn these with me? Let's all get into there. And then we'll go into a United Club together. In those situations, then yes, it makes sense. One, because like I said, that's not a stunt feature, that's share the wealth feature. And I'm very happy to share the wealth. But would I put lounge access as a priority? Absolutely not. When I look at a card, I'm not looking at lounge access. I have not been in all the Centurion lounges here in the US, even with my platinum card. I've never stepped foot in this Chase Sapphire lounge. I've mentioned that before. It doesn't really matter to me that much. And I've been in DC that had a Sapphire lounge and I didn't go to it because United Club was 15 steps away and the Sapphire Lounge was somewhere over there. And I said, screw that. I'm not going over. You guys know me. I don't make that walk. I'm not making that walk. That should sum up my answer of how important is that lounge access to me is I'm lazy at the airport. Travel experience. Let's go back to it. What's the most simple thing? What can actually get me there? What can help facilitate my day or whatever you want to call it? But am I willing to pay for it? Yes, because I have so many cars have priority pass or lounge access included in some way, shape, or form. I gotta say I'm willing to pay for it. But is it a priority when selecting a card? Absolutely not. It's probably not even in my top five.
No, that's certainly fair. I prioritize it as I like the option. It is not the be all end all for my travel day. Yes, I would prefer to have it than not, and that is why I pay the annual fee on the Sapphire Reserve that I pay. It is an option I prefer to have. When I'm booking international flights going forward, I will certainly shoot for international business, international first, so that I can get the lounge access included in my ticket. Like Aer Lingus has a lounge at JFK. Aer Lingus should also be getting a lounge at Terminal 6 when they move to Terminal 6. Getting into that lounge would be cool. I like the ability that I can have a space where, depending on how early I get into, or if I do a connecting flight somewhere, I have a place that I can go to that is quieter than the gates, quieter than the food court, quieter than the rest of the airport. And if that's a respite for 30, 45 minutes, cool. If that's an hour that I could take to work on various projects, either for this channel, for new projects, if there's new projects going forward, I will take that time and that like relative quiet to work on that. But I don't value it as I have to get to the airport 3 hours early because I have to go to a lounge every single time I'm flying. I fly on JetBlue out of JFK. There's no JetBlue lounge yet. And I can't go to the Sapphire Lounge and then connect over to JetBlue because then I have to go through security twice. I'm not going through security at Terminal 4 and then finagling myself over to Terminal 5 to make my flight. No, absolutely not. So I like the option. I will pay for the option. I will not go too far above and beyond having the option and booking the option when booking internationally going forward.
So at SFO, United is in Terminal 3.
Yep.
The Terminal 1, which is called the Harvey Milk Terminal, I believe, just got a full remodel and there's a new club and whatever. It looks nice. Never
Yep.
stepped foot in it because there is no, you can kick rocks if you think I'm about to walk from Terminal 3 all the way down to Terminal 1 just to go sit in the lounge.
Airports can have different terminals. It's not just one giant building that you walk like 45 feet to all the way
Not
to.
every airport is
Facetious,
Albany.
right? I hope you're joking.
So my airport, there's 1 and 2, but it's do you go left or do you go? It was a small airport joke.
Yeah.
So it depends on the airport, to be completely honest. There are many airports. So I'm going to use San Francisco, so SFO, where it's 4 terminals. So 3 domestic terminals and then the international terminal. The thing is that they are fully connected. So you can go through any terminal and walk to the other. But then there are other airports that the terminals are disconnected, where you can't just walk cleanly. Like you mentioned in Atlanta, you got to take a train. You can walk that 2-mile long hallway if you want, but nobody ever really does. Denver's also that way. You have to take a train. You can't just walk from one terminal to the other. You have to get on some type of transportation. I believe IAD is the same way, where you get on those big, super military looking buses or whatnot that drive over the tarmac. You can't just walk from one to another. But in some cases, in most cases, yes. So yes, I can be in Terminal G in SFO, and I can just walk clear to 1.
JFK
You
is
can,
completely
but
disconnected.
not yet. JFK is a disconnected one.
Yeah. LaGuardia is also disconnected between terminals A, B, and C, but they all got remodels, so that was nice. Do I care about lounge access? I care enough to give myself the option. I am willing to pay what I'm willing to pay for an annual fee and whatever I'm willing to pay for international flights, primarily in points. But I'm not going out of my way to make the lounge my thing.
It's amazing the difference between small airports and big airports.
Yes.
If you all lived where I did and had a regional airport, I would be very like because here's the thing, you can't really know if your answer would be different,
Yeah.
but I feel like my answer would probably be different if I lived in a place with 15 options for direct flights versus 2.5.
Or Albany gets a United Lounge.
LAX is connected as well. It's not easily connected, but it's connected. No.
The United Lounge is probably the least reasonable option because United is actually last on the list for market share at Albany. So Southwest, American, and Delta flip back and forth, a couple of regionals, and then United. So if anybody is going to go in, it's going to be American. I have said that I would switch to United to get into a lounge. I am not switching to American to get into an Admirals Club. I have
No.
standards.
That's fair.
So one thing about United, and I'll be United advocate in this case, they have a double-edged sword when it comes to their lounges. Just speaking of the clubs, not the Polaris lounges. First off, if you're in a United hub, they have more than one United club. So they're usually like never packed in the first place. And the other thing is so many people trying to get to like the Plaza Premium lounges, the Priority Plus lounges, and whatever other. If you're taking another airline, you're not in around them anyway because you're in a United hub. So you irrelevant. But for example, like Chicago has 7 United clubs, obviously headquartered there. I think SFO has 3, 2 or 3, plus the Polaris. Yep. I think LAX has 4. Denver has 3 now. Also, the one in Denver, if you're in the B terminal, which is the brand new one, it's like 3 or 4 stories tall. It looks immaculate. I was in there. It's beautiful. And that one's packed. Just go to A terminal. Those types of things. Like there's another one right over there. But the other side of that double-edged sword is United has clubs in airports where they're not hubbed at. So even if like you're in a perfect example, we're in New Orleans for the creator meetup last year. The New Orleans airport had a United club in it. And that's not a United hub whatsoever. When everyone else is flying Delta or American and they're getting into their lounges, this also people where it's not as popular. You don't get United Club just for buying first class. You can get Polaris for buying first class on an international flight, but first class domestic flight does not guarantee you United Club access. So even for the first class people, they're not getting in just because they bought the ticket, which means either you pay to play or you have a subscription or a membership in some way, shape, or form, which also just makes it my more desired path. Like I said, LAX and San Francisco Airport, the Centurion lounges are in the terminals where United is. And I will still choose the club, even though I can get into the Amex lounge, knowing that the Amex lounge is going to be packed compared to the United club.
Yeah. No, that definitely all tracks. So yeah, thanks. We'll move over to our next question. We got a pair of Chase Ultimate Reward earning questions with regard to recent changes with Chase. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We've got a question from Bill W. and Robert J. Bill W., his question reads, I believe I've heard there's grandfathered 1.5 with existing Sapphire Reserve holders and points earned before October. Should I be consolidating UR points from my UR earning cards with my Sapphire Reserve and my Player 2 cards? And Robert J says, so my 130,000 ultimate reward points will be good at 1.25x on my Chase Sapphire Preferred through the portal till October of 2027. Assuming I earn more points between now and then, or when the change takes effect and they're commingled with the old points, are we going to trust the Chase software to sort them out and value them correctly, or are we going to have old UR points and new ones? That coming from Robert J. So, Lonnie, on the first question, consolidating as many UR points before October, good strategy? Bad strategy? Thoughts?
I don't know if you've watched the video that Matt and I did, Bill, but I'm doing exactly that because I don't trust Chase. So all my UR points at the current moment are on my Sapphire Reserve because I don't want to play no games. And I don't want to figure it out later. Going back to Robert's question, are there these points you had on your Sapphire Reserve and these points were not? I don't want to play that game. So I'm like, I just moved them all over. Just they're all going to end up over there anyway. So I just screw it. Just move them all over. So back to Bill. It can't hurt. That's all I can really answer. We don't know what Chase is going to do. We don't know Chase's next move like Amex does, but I would safely say if you don't want to take the risk, yes, consolidate everything to your CSR between you and your player two. Going to Robert's question with new points and old ones, the same thing. I would safely try to say, one, consolidate. But the other aspect of it is that I don't think that Chase is going to be like, you earn these points on Tuesday and they get the higher value, and then you earn these on Wednesday, so they do not get the higher value. I don't think they got the engineering resources or strength to actually pull that. But I do think that your Sapphire card, whether it's reserve or preferred, is going to get the boost as long as those points go through that card through 1027. I think that's what's going to trigger the boost or not. Now, I don't work for Chase. This is just me speaking out loud. This is what I'm also hoping for. But like I said, when it comes to through this particular bonus, you would pull your hair out. No offense. But it's so much, like I said, I don't think they have the engineering resources to be able to try to track that many points across that much spend across so many card holders. That would just be an astronomical cost and engineering feat. I don't think it's worth it. So personally, I just think they're going to say, if you have one of these Sapphire cards, the 1027, if as long as it goes through that Sapphire card, you'll get your boost. And that's what I honestly think they're going to end up doing.
Yeah.
But consolidate them just to be safe.
Yeah. Bill, absolutely consolidate them. I would 100% say that. Robert, whatever, if you have any other Chase cards, consolidate through, and it's 1025 is the cutoff for October of 2025 is the cutoff for earning points. October of 2027 is the cutoff for redeeming those points. Put everything onto a Sapphire, whatever Sapphire you have, put everything onto that Sapphire now. I would use your November statement as the kind of cutoff, and then everything you earn after November, just assume that's going to get 1x in the portal or get the point boost in the portal prior to that November statement, because that will also include your October spend most likely. That's why I'm saying your November statement. Everything after your November statement this year, just assume it's going to be affected by point boost, either 2 or 1 or 1.5 or 1. Put everything on the Sapphire before that, and you'll be good to go for the next 2 years.
Maybe. Like, they could change it in October or December or next January or next April.
Look, there is a part of me that wants Chase to lose so much business that they reconsider this immediately.
We're going to do this right now because Chase literally just showed all their damn cards to Amex, to every single one of their card holders until October. I would not be surprised if Chase changes things up before October, because Amex is, I didn't know what you were going to do until now. And now you got 4 months to steal all these reserve and Sapphire card holders, literally 100% of their portfolio, and whoever else signs up until then. They have until October to literally steal them.
Yep.
Like, Amex is probably, dude, we were completely bluffing last week. Like, we had no idea what we were doing. We were just trying to steal some shine. And then you guys told us everything and said, we're not making any changes until October. Chase, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. This is a very stupid business move. Like, you never let your ops know your next move. You just let your competition know exactly what you're doing for the next 4 months. And you have no plan B right now, except for, so let me send out some emails about the stuff that people really wanted to keep, and we told them you're not gonna. And we're getting questions like this from Bill and Robert because of it. From an actual Chase Sapphire Reserve card holder, by the way, I am actually now looking forward to Amex just saying, all right, Amex Travel Porter 2X. I'm sorry, but when I got one Sapphire card that has an annual fee, and all my other Chase cards are $0 cards. I'm out. Clock me out. cancel my subscription if Amex does that. I'm sorry. Like, Amex has so much time to create a plan to just knock them out. Capital One and Citi have so much time to create a plan to close the gap in competition.
Whoa,
Sorry,
whoa, whoa,
Chase,
whoa.
but I'm being honest. They got time. I'm not going to say they'll be able to, but I'm saying they got time.
I 100% agree that they have the time. I 0% agree that they have the competence to get it done.
They have the time, is all I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
What the F are you doing, Chase? What are y'all doing? Who does that? Who does that? That's Apple coming out with their phone first in the fall.
Yeah.
They never do. Why? Because they're going to be like, why would we tell everybody what's on the new iPhone so that way our competition has a chance to steal our people from us? No, they're not going to do that. It literally was a dumb move. Okay, we went there. Rant over.
I want to know which executive was like, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to roll out this card in June, but it's not going to take effect for current card holders until October. But if you apply for it new or upgrade, you can get it sooner. I want to be in the meeting where that was pitched and then approved by Jamie Dimon. I want to be a fly on the wall.
Just all the wording and exactly how you explained it right there. And I know, Matt, you done like 15 videos on this already. So I know like your head has finally stopped spinning, where people like simple. People like, on X day, Y happens. And they were like, on X day, this happens for this group of people. And then this changes on Y day. This, mark my words, this might go down as one of the worst business decisions as the Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial. Like, it's actually up there as that bad of a business decision, the way they executed this.
Love that. Found a way to hit a Kardashian with a stray on this podcast. I approve this message.
That was a bad business decision.
Marketing doesn't help. Yeah. I don't know who that executive is. Let me just say, Wells Fargo recently poached their new head of credit card services from Chase. I'm hoping that the guy that they poached from Chase is the guy who actually kept everything together and competent there, and his replacement is the one that's just ruined everything.
This brings a whole new meaning to Mr.
Chase
Oscar.
was like, before the last card flipped over on the table, Chase was like, I got a pair of fours all in. MX is sitting there. Give me a minute.
It really will be interesting to see
MX,
what refresh.
They got 4 months to hear everybody say, wait, I'm losing my 1.5. MX could just be like,
here's 1.5 on the platinum. Here you go. Everything's 1.5.
And it's curtains. Roll the credits. I'm out if MX does that. And I'm sorry. I'm not loyal to Chase or Amex, even though I have both of them. I swear to you, if Amex gives me a flat like 1.5, 2x without all this hassle and just keeps it simple, even if they raise it another $200, whatever the speculation may propose to be, I'm out. Amex has 4 months to buy my wallet, and I will let them do it. I will let them do it. I get wave 4 in transaction fee on a whole bunch of other cards that are globally accepted. I'll take my built card with me out of the country. That shit'll work. Amex has 4 months. Literally, that's when everyone's asking me what I'm going to do with the CSR. I'm going to wait to see what Amex does, because they can actually buy me out with the right business plan. I don't know what Chase just did. I'm not saying what they did is bad. The refresh or the new card, I wouldn't even call it a refresh. It's a brand new card that uses the old name. But this as a business decision where they just announced everything and then just sat on their hands, that was stupid.
Can I ask you,
yeah.
as Sapphire Reserve holders, current Sapphire Reserve holders, we'll see what happens at your renewals. Would you have preferred them to introduce what they did as a brand new card at the 750? And then the card that you knew was some of the credits were taken off and it was downgraded slightly, but it kept the core functionality. So it gives people options, or because that was something I was thinking of, is if you're a Sapphire Reserve holder, like how much does it sting? And how much are you just, okay, I can walk away now? You know what I mean?
Oh, we know this much. It's got
Yeah,
points boost.
I would have preferred if they killed it, completely deprecated the card, and created a whole brand new card. So Sapphire Reserve squared, we'll just call it the 2 instead of the 1, and slowly killed all the credits and all that other stuff, except for if you have it, you can be grandfathered into it. We already know how that works. If you have it, you can still have it. Not saying product change it later, but you have it, we're not going to deprecate it from you. We're just not going to offer it as a product anymore. And as long as you keep it, you can have your $300. You get to keep it at $550. You get your 1.5, and eventually, like DoorDash will fall off. Eventually, Lyft will fall off over time, and that stuff would roll over into the 2 card. And that I would have been okay with, because that gives me the choice to keep what I have versus being forced into whatever is new. And whatever is new is not necessarily bad. And this are apples and bananas. They are not the same card. It's a whole new card that just uses the same name.
Yeah.
The previous Sapphire card was a travel card. This new Sapphire card is a lifestyle card. They are not the same, just off of that by itself. And yes, they have some overlap. Oh, $300 travel credit, DoorDash, etc. They have some overlap, but that does not make it a refresh. They went to the drawing board and rebuilt the card, kept a couple of things that worked, trying out some new things, whatever. But I would have been more happy, RJ, if I had the choice to say, I can upgrade to this new card, or I can just keep what I got, knowing that it works, especially that 1.5. Keep the points boost if you want. I'll just keep the 1.5 versus get with this other thing. Now, the points boost, I'll also add, it's not that bad. It opened up today. I looked at it. There are some hotels in which I had already planned on booking or had booked. I literally canceled a lot of them and rebooked them at 2x points today. So day one, points boost seems to be working in my favor. Now, I only did hotels. I didn't do flights. Maybe when I book my flights for Hawaii for later this year, hopefully they show up in the points boost. But also, to go to Matt's point, back to that video, those points boosts are Chase's partners. The second I go in there, they're United flights or JW Marriott's. They're going to be those travel partners. I'm not going to see the type of that points boost on the partners that they're not partnered with, if you will.
Yeah.
So I would check that box off. I was right there. And same thing, as I mentioned with the hotels, I went and checked my flights. I want to see if I can get some credits back and transfer them over to points boost. And all the flights itineraries are there, but the exact same flights are not. So like I had a flight that leaves at 7 a.m. That was not available with the points boost, but a horrible flight with the connection that left like an hour later, something like that. So that part you have to play around with, but from day one, when it comes to hotels, I'm satisfied.
No, and that's a great thing. For me, I think I would have preferred this version of the card to be a new card, or something where like we eventually plan on phasing out the 1.5. Do you want to stick with it and like they ended up having the baby, halving the baby, and you shouldn't do that. It's really bad. But they tried to have their cake and eat it too, and at least give their customers the idea that they're having their cake and eating it too. And it just was not communicated well. And I do not think that this came across the way that it should, because you're causing confusion where there was none. You could have come out with a card that over the top at $7.95 and just said, this card gets points boost, works like this. You can stay on your 550 card and guarantee the 1.5, but by whatever other date, you're going to have to choose to go up to this card. The card is fine. I do think they're going to lose more business than they're anticipating losing. And I think that there's a number that's going to come out for Q3 when they do their Q3 earnings. And Chase has a way to track this, and American Express has a way to track this. And if American Express expressly pulls 3% of Sapphire Reserve holders, I'm going with 3% is the number. 3% of Sapphire Reserve holders converting to American Express, first time American Express card holders with the Platinum or whatever card, and they've canceled their Sapphire Reserve. They get 3% of Sapphire Reserve holders to cancel their cards. Chase is going to have a problem. I think 3% is the lower bound. And I'm not sure that 3% is the number that we're going to see, because it could be higher. Now, not everyone's going to get rid of their cards, obviously, but there's going to be a shift away from the Sapphire Reserve because of this. 3% of cardholders moving and canceling the card outright is going to lead to some changes sooner than expected.
Yeah. And I think if I were to put one of my last dollars in Vegas on the table.
Lonnie, do you own
He's
shares in
going to
FedEx?
Vegas, so maybe I'll have to be the one that goes to Vegas and let the stack your points or chip over.
Let's do it.
From Vegas, baby.
Stack your points.
Use that.
But the one thing that I think is going to bite Chase in the butt the most is the fact that the Reserve 1 card, the 550 Sapphire Reserve card, was a redemption card. And they got rid of all of that. So now they made it an earning card. Like 8X in the travel portal is great.
Yeah.
4X direct from flights and hotels is great. But you're not going to get any points using points in their travel portal. You can't. So now it's, oh, great, I got all these points for the travel portal. You're going to get basically going to run flat. Let's just call it 1 cent per point. You earn it at 1 cent per point. You're going to burn at 1 cent per point. Yes, I know there's bonus categories of 4 and whatever. You get what I'm saying here.
Yep.
Where the thing that really drew everyone in the beginning was a $300 travel credit and 1.5 in the portal when redeeming. To the point where for almost a decade, and I know this because I was there at the beginning of the Sapphire Reserve. That's how long I've had this sucker. Since the beginning, those were the foundational 2 key. That was the left and the right foot that this card stood on. $300 travel credit, 1.5 boost. You took away the 1.5. We are limping now. We don't know what to do next. And now it's not. Like, you thought it was something small, and it's actually way bigger than that. To the point where now I'm looking like, if I'm going to, it's like superpowers. Everybody's superpower, nobody does. So everybody's burning at 1 cent per point. So it doesn't matter where I go, if I'm going to burn 1 cent per point. That was a huge differentiation measure that Chase just let out the window. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets changed. Or on this new card, it gives you a guaranteed 2.0 or maybe a 1.75 and save 2.0 for points boost or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if by October or early 2026, after all cards roll over in October, when they see that the holiday, the Christmas funds, the Hanukkah funds, the New Year's funds, the Kwanzaa funds are going to their competitors or going to a different card, I think they're going to be like, we made a mistake.
Yep.
Because now I'm sitting on my Chase points like, I got to burn them before October so I can get at least the best value that I can. Because if they don't change this, deuces, I'm out. There's no point to stay anymore. The credits aren't going to keep you there.
Is Jamie Dimon's seat getting hot?
No, he's good. He's not thinking about any of this, to be completely
honest. He's good.
good.
There's some product managers and not an EVP, but an SVP. They're going to be sitting on a very hot seat sooner rather than...
Jamie Dimon doesn't care until the board cares. When they care, then he has to care. Until then, he's like,
hey, what the hell?
I guarantee the people on the board have an Amex black card.
I would love if we walked into a Chase board meeting and forced everyone to take out their wallets just to see what they had. Because I think you're right. I think that they probably all have Amex black cards or the JP Morgan Reserve that just got updated and also nerfed.
I can see the reserve, but at the same time, we're talking about people that have so much money that they don't care what kind of card they have. It's like, we talk about the Amex black card so much, but the people that have the Amex black card could care less about earning 1 point per dollar.
No.
Like, they're not worried about points. They're buying private jets for $30,000 flights on that card.
At least a couple of them do, just because it's a hobby, and they all need hobbies.
I do think that there is room, and maybe they made this card intentionally. I can't say it's bad, but I do think that they've given themselves room to fix things when things inevitably need to be fixed. But why you would do that in the first place, I don't know, and that's malpractice.
I think we'll see a shareholder lawsuit.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody on Chase's board that's also on Amex's board.
That's publicly available information.
It should be available information, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. Sorry, RJ. No,
where are we in this podcast right now?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's close up that question. We have still many thoughts, many feelings on the Sapphire Reserve update. And yeah, we're gonna move over to our next question, which simply enough kind of puts us into a wider lens. Double Doubles, second question of the night, asks, do you think we will ever hit a tipping point where the couponization pendulum will swing back towards simplicity? Yes. But I'm going to caveat this with, for two companies, no. For other companies, potentially, but it's going to take a massive shift to American Express and Chase's bottom lines for them to consider moving away from coupons. I think there are issuers that could benefit from leaning into simplicity, leaning into not doing the coupon bit, and being safe haven's not a great word, but like being a place of respite where the card works this way, you don't have to do a ton of work, you get what you get, and you pay whatever annual fees you have to pay for it. I think Citi would be wise to lean into being simple, although Citi and simple do not go hand in hand. I think Wells Fargo would be wise to lean into simple. I think Capital One would be wise to lean into simple. Like, they should not touch their credits for a while. If Capital One wanted to really open some floodgates and get people re-interested in the Venture X and get them to look past the nonsense that they just pulled with their lounge access, take the coupon out of the portal and make the coupon a general $300 travel credit. And you'd start convincing some people to come over to Capital One and at least give Capital One a look. But right now, Amex and Chase, until it affects their bottom line, they're not going anywhere.
I think the thing about pendulums is they have, by their nature, they have to swing back, or it's not
Yes.
a pendulum, right? These things do come and go. Now, do I think that Amex or Chase are going to be the first in that swing? No. I think it'll be interesting to see what Wells Fargo does, what Citi does, what Capital One does as the pendulum is swinging in the direction Chase and Amex are going. But I think they'll be the last to this and the first out of it because they are more sensitive to the desires of the customer base than Amex or Chase are, right? Like, it's almost thermodynamics, right? Chase and Amex have so much mass to them in terms of number of cardholders, cards, products, whatever. Like, they can retain some of that energy where the other banks that are, quote, smaller have less of that mass to be able to absorb things. Do I think we're going to hit a tipping point? Yeah. Now, is that tipping point 5 years from now and every card has been refreshed to be a coupon book before then? And then slowly cards start dropping coupons? Maybe. Also, to drop coupons, annual fees have to come down, and that is not something banks tend to be super willing to do. So it might take a small depression or a larger depression of the US economy for that to happen. So there is a sense of be careful what you wish for, because for annual fees to come down, you probably have to have a depression. You have a depression, people are just gonna not be around anymore for reasons that are depressing. So there's a lot of things that go into this question that are dark, but here we are.
Yeah.
So to get on the nerdy side, if we're going to talk about pendulums, not only do they have to swing back, but they can't stop moving, which means eventually they're going to start swinging in the other direction again. But I don't think we're ever going to see simple anymore. And for two reasons. The only way to be able to get there would be if like credits, like I mentioned this before, credits aren't going anywhere. Get used to them. They're going to be here to stay. But I think agnostic credits are something that we're going to start seeing more of in the future. We start seeing that now with United. Instead of saying you got a Lyft credit or Uber credit, you have a rideshare credit. Just use it on rideshare. You have the Brilliant card that just says food credit, $25. Spend it at a restaurant, spend it on DoorDash, spend it on whatever. You got $25. Fully agnostic. I'd even go as far to say, see something like a fitness credit. If it codes as fitness, and we see that with the Freedom Flex at least every other year or so, it's one of their bonus categories, like live entertainment, fitness, those types of things, where it's fully agnostic. I think those are going to come. But that'll be the only way things start getting more simple if they move those credits that way. So I said, DoorDash credit on this card, Grubhub credit on this card. No, it's just going to be food credit. And by doing that, you're going to start seeing people start falling closer and closer into a single ecosystem that just works for them, that maybe cover all their spend or whatnot. The other aspect of it is that these cards need to be more simple with, now, of course, there are a lot of cards out there. We just talked about Sapphire Reserves. It's like you get 8x when you do this, you get 4x when you do this, you get 3x when you do this, you get 1x when you do this. But then you also have other cards that are just as expensive. I'm going to use the Bonvoy Brilliant with Amex, where you have one big earning category, one decent earning category, and then everything else. And that's simple. I absolutely love that, to be completely honest. It's like, great, it's a Marriott card. I get the most points when I stay at Marriott. The next thing I get is when I spend it on food. Great, I get $25 off food every single month. And everything else that's food related just gets this. It's not online food or grocery food or restaurant. It's just food. Simple. And then everything else. So I'm like, I can remember, it's not a Marriott hotel. It's not food. So this instantly falls into everything else. Simple. And then to go to RJ's last point, to piggyback on that, annual fees aren't going to come down. They are going to always be ahead of inflation, ahead of the economy, ahead of the market. So why they raise them up? Because like they're even if you specifically are not making more money, the economy, the inflation is making more money, which means, oh yeah, we can put this out here. And the thing is, we're so dependent. People are so dependent in a positive or negative way. Positive way, people like us that are financially responsible, financially savvy, we're going to rely on this because we know we're getting these rewards out of them. On the flip side of that, the other side of that spectrum are the people that might be hurting a little bit and using these as a life preserver to get from Tuesday to Wednesday. They're making money out there too. And so the banks are like, we can charge $800 a year and people will pay it. Either they can afford it or not afford it. Financially responsible and not financially responsible, people are going to pay it. And as long as people are paying it, they're justified to keep raising them. But the thing is, the banks now will have to fight harder for your wallet. And I think that's the point where we're at right now, where the banks are now like, we are charging way too much out here. And I mentioned this last week. It's so expensive. I don't know if I'm going to be Chase or Amex in the near future. It might not be in 2026. It might not be in 2027, maybe 2028. I'm not going to be a Chase and an Amex person. I'm going to be one or the other because it's just too expensive. Not to say you can't afford it. It's just there's no reason to spend that much because now you're spending more than the value you're getting back trying to be a part of everything. And it's easier for me to get out of Chase right now because I got so many $0 annual fee cards of Chase. I can just walk away, downgrade it, and literally walk away. The only other way that I think this out is finally make the customizable annual fee card where I get to modify it myself. The more I put on it, the more annual fee. And I can just have one card where I've been very transparent about my wallet. I pay over $3,000 a year in annual fees right now. It's almost $300 a month. if I were to break it down over 12 months for annual fees. I get all the value I can out of there. But if you give me one card and I can build one card that just ruled everything, and I get all the credits that I want, I get all the bonus categories that actually mean something to me, and I just have one card, simple, heck yeah. And you tell me that card $2,000 a year, I'm out. I'm out the game. Just give me that one card. And I'll modify and pick and choose and build my own bonus categories and what credits mean something. I'm out. I am out of the game. Give me that one card. So hopefully, and I know they're not, Amex, Chase, one of y'all got to be listening eventually to us. Do that by October 26th.
Nobody's coming out with a modular card by October.
I do think that the idea of going with agnostic credits is interesting because I think people will see them, the dining credit and the brilliant, right? That is one that people talk about all the time of how easy it is to use, or the entertainment credit on the platinum, right? That's a really easy credit to use. You got to, everybody's got a streaming service that probably qualifies for that credit. You put it on there, you get the points, they take the $20 off. So I can see that definitely starting to creep in for people or for the banks putting it on there, because then it doesn't feel like, oh, you have to use, what is it, two $10 and one $5 credits on the Chase card. People get really annoyed at that. But even if you kept it at the same amount and just took off, I think people would not be so negative on it. So I agree, the agnosticism might be a good way to do the same thing, but make people see it differently.
Yeah.
Grocery credit. $50 off groceries every single month. You won't eat Chipotle twice a week because you know you need to go to the grocery store and just buy your food. Or, hey, go to a grocery store and spend $50 on Cookie Monster ice cream. Just throw it in the freezer.
That sounds really good.
It does.
Really good. I love cookies. It's right up my alley.
You people and your gluten.
Yeah, my body can process gluten.
You can pick around the cookies if you want. They're like chocolate chip cookie pieces in there too. So it's like a whole extra level of cookies and cream.
We'll go grab the new alcohol I got this past weekend. No,
you can't have gluten and alcohol. So now we're even.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I've got chocolate and marshmallow whiskey and another bottle of Dough Ball. I didn't buy these things, and I don't turn away gifts. I do think tipping point, I think the pendulum swinging back will be things like agnostic credits. I definitely agree with Lonnie there. I would also love to see a modular credit card. The Zinc card was far ahead of its time, and a company really should be willing, like, that is a loss leader type card, but that is also a card where you absolutely get to mitigate the loss because it depends on the person putting the card together for themselves.
The Fargo Beyond is the Zinc card in a different outfit.
Better give me some strong categories and some interesting to use credits. Give me some more transfer partners as well. But yeah, no, that would be great. This is all because of macroeconomic. Like, the fundamental problem right now is that the banks are in uncharted waters where the macroeconomic situation right now is so terrifying that they don't know what to do. And their fiduciary responsibility to their investors is to drive profits as high as they can. So raising annual fees is one way to do that. Limiting your ability to get welcome offer is another way to do that. Like, these are all being done in the face of ridiculously unnatural macroeconomic events that shouldn't be happening.
Part of their business model is that you don't use these credits that they give you. They pay, yes, and if you don't use them, they save money. So there is someone that literally tracks this stuff: usage, retention, acquisition, all of that, and then says, here's this credit that we give out, and here's the actual utilization rate of it. Here's how much money we made for those that did not use it. Why do you think they're doing Dunkin' Donuts credits when not everyone can be Dunkin'? Get to a Dunkin'. Dunkin' Donuts is not even across the entire country the way that like a McDonald's is. This is why, because they know that some people that aren't in these areas are going to not be able to use these credits, and they're like, we're actually they banking on it, to be completely honest. Someone did the math and been like, The people in Boston will probably completely murder this credit, but people in LA probably won't touch this at all. Guess what? We got more card holders in LA than we got in Boston. This actually means we are going to end up saving more money. This is part of their P&L. So
yeah,
you have to remember that. So when it comes to these credits, even though I'm not a coupon book person, I don't lean into it. I don't necessarily like it, but it is important to understand that if you want to play against the man, you want to beat the house, you have to go to Dunkin' Donuts. You have to use Uber Eats. You have to do these things, or else you're just playing the game where the house wins. Even if you don't want to use it anyway, show them that this is not valuable so they take it away and give us something that might be more valuable for us.
I'm sorry, Lonnie. I'm not using the exercise credit on the platinum. You can't make me.
I want to know exactly how many people use the Equinox credit for the app or actually go to Equinox Gym. I'm sure it's a small number, but think how much money they're saving because no one's using it. It's
That's
cheaper
fair.
to keep her.
That'll do it. Yep.
This is officially like the tangent episode number 2. This is the most tangent that we've ever tangent before, ever.
Yep, we are way off the rails. Let's get back on those rails. Thank you, Double, for that question. Thanks, everyone, for your question.
Occasionally, you got to try a Brussels sprout that's covered in bacon or something to make sure you really don't like Brussels sprouts. Like, occasionally, trying something that you didn't think you'd like a rotating category card, might change your position, which is good when you're talking about credit cards a lot. But occasionally, if the opportunity presents itself, it's a good learning opportunity.
Staying on the topic of JW Marriott, especially if you find the right ones, when they have the bacon Brussels sprouts on the in-room dining menu, you should buy those. They are so delicious. So thank you for saying that, RJ, because I'm actually staying at that JW Marriott the past couple of weeks. Now I'm super excited again. My son eats them. That's how good they are. Toddlers eat these Brussels sprouts.
I think it's safe to say if you have roasted bacon Brussels sprouts on a menu, just grab them. Just a pro tip from the Stack of Points podcast, at least 2/3 of the Stack of Points podcast right now. RJ, I don't know where you are on bacon Brussels sprouts, but I'm assuming since you brought it up, you are also a fan.
Look, if you put good bacon on most things, I'll probably eat it.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. It has been an eventful show. Do we have any final thoughts?
I don't think I got any more tangents left in me.
RJ, any final thoughts?
We are currently at 449 subscribers. We are 51 away from 500, and we are making the push. I want to thank everybody who's signed up this month and who's been with us since the start, but we're getting closer. I'm trying to talk Matt into, if one of the lives, if we're a couple away, just staying on the live until we hit the 500. We'll see if that happens.
Maybe not this Thursday, but if we're close on a Thursday, yes.
I don't think it'll be this Thursday. If we gain 51 in the next day and a half, then we'll see.
There we go. All right. Again, thanks everyone who has hit subscribe. We are pushing our way to 500. 500 opens up memberships and some other stuff as well. We're looking forward to doing that. We've got ideas. We're happy to present those when the time arrives. In the meantime, just check out stackerpoints.com has all manners in ways to connect with us via the Discord. If you want to ask us questions, there's a contact us form there. There's also the Discord has the podcast questions form that you can utilize to ask us questions. Our episodes drop on stackerpoints.com. So stackerpoints.com, your one-stop shop for the podcast. We look forward to joining us next week. We will talk to you soon. Bye for now.